What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745. And yes, in this video we're going to take a look at Hearthstone. But there is a serious reason for that. Don't get me wrong, I do want to look at other games from time to time, and it is a well-made game that I have fun with between the really frustrated times. But mainly, I'm going to be using this game to tell you what's going on with me, the channel, and my Facebook profile. But first, just to talk a little bit about the game here, I've mainly played it on my second channel, and that was quite some time ago, but I do still try to keep up on it. And I'm really looking forward to the next expansion, Whispers of the Old Gods, and that's coming soon. I'm going to have a ton of packs to open. I maybe foolishly pre-ordered the 50-pack deal, and I'm going to have over 20 packs worth of gold. So yeah, we're going to be getting a lot of cards from that set. That's for sure. Probably one of my biggest problems with Hearthstone is the fact that you'll continuously play against the same exact decks that people just 100% copied from the net. That's one of the cool things about my warrior deck. I just made it out of the cards I wanted to use. So it's going to be something different from what you usually see. At least I think so. I obviously got some really awesome legendaries, and of course I wanted to use those, so there's quite a few in this deck. And yes, they are quite overpowered. But still, this deck being kind of my own creation, and actually able to win, is something pretty rare. Because I will say, other times I've tried to make my own variations or own deck, it's just really hard to compete against that super efficient, tournament winning deck that every other hunter or priest or whatever just straight copied from the net. That's my biggest pet peeve about this game. I've played many CCGs, many TCGs, whatever you want to call them. Collectible, trading, they're the same thing. I've played a ton of them throughout my life, and collected them, and I could go back through a lot of them. From the time I was really young playing Overpower, which was an incredible comic character game that I still have in my collection. The cards were incredible, the artwork was amazing. Still one of my favorite games to this day, and just one of my best memories. I might actually try to do a video showing you that collection at some point. I think that would be a really cool video. It has DC, Marvel, and Image sets. But unfortunately the game died too young. Besides that, I of course played games like Pokemon. And still would from time to time if anyone wanted to play. Magic the Gathering. I even played Battletech, many Star Wars card games, Versus System, Dragon Ball Z, just on and on. And I always loved to use my own deck design. At least half of the fun was building the decks, at least for me personally. But that is almost non-existent in this game. I even fall victim to it myself. The pros are just way too efficient, and it's really tough to beat them if you don't join them. The other difference is it was really hard to own all those physical copies of extremely hard to get, rare, and overpowered cards. This online format, and with the dust, it just does away with that. If you're not familiar with what I mean, you can disenchant your cards and you get dust, which you can then use to create any other card in the game. So it actually is pretty cool. It does end up stopping the separation from the haves and the have-nots. But at the same time, pretty much anyone who invests any time and money into it can create one of these tournament decks, card for card. Like any game, there's good and bad. And there's obviously more good than bad, or else I wouldn't be playing it. But like I was saying before I got on that long rant, this is my warrior deck. It's kind of different, and I really love it for that fact. Plus, right now, we have a bunch of legendaries in our hand, a ton of dragons, and it's about to get fun. Currently, they definitely have the board advantage, but what we're going to do is play that 6-drop dragon, and it has taunt, plus when it's destroyed, it'll deal 3 damage to every other character on the map. You have to be holding a dragon, but we have plenty of those, so it's going to deal that 3 damage to all minions, and it will help clear out that board. Now I actually do have a priest dragon deck myself, so I'm pretty familiar with it. And to be honest, I'd much rather play against this deck than a priest control deck. That's for sure. Right now he has some pretty tough decisions, and he already used one of those shadow word deaths. So I don't know if he's going to regret that decision or not. But there's a lot of big minions to come. By the way, the other thing you're kind of seeing here is another problem with Hearthstone is the matches take a very long time. Or they can. There have been times where we completely decked each other out. So we drew all 30 cards and the game still wasn't over. And we weren't using mill or draw decks either. It was just a standstill. The priest here has decided to use Holy Nova, so he's going to deal damage, but then he'll take 3 after my dragon dies. It unfortunately does finish our only other minion though. It's not ideal, but it's a much better board than it once was, and we still have some incredible minions coming, so I'm not worried at all. Now this guy does unfortunately take his sweet time, but he is going to attack at the buzzer. Still, we're at 27 health and doing just fine. On my turn, we basically have our pick of what we can do, but luckily we can take their dragon down with our axe. And then I'm going to use Nefarian. He's an incredible dragon, and he's going to give us 2 priest spells. So that only adds to the amazingness. This is pretty random, you don't know what you're going to get. But in this case, we're actually going to get a mind control. And a mind games. Now that mind control is probably really going to come in handy. I don't want to say it, but I think I have to. That was legitness. And he uses his last shadow word, death. That's fine, that's kind of annoying, but like I said, now he can't stop our other tough minions. Speaking of which, we're going to use Varian Rin right now. And this guy actually can put 3 minions into play. Although it's completely random. First card's an execute, then a bash. And we finally do get a minion. But I'm going to be honest with you, that could have went a lot better. A lot of times, no joking, we get 3 minions out, and usually some of those high-powered dragons. So it can be really ridiculous. But we'll still take it, we definitely have the better board. By the way, you can also see our hand is jam-packed, and his is pretty low. Hand size and drawing cards is extremely important in this game. It will cost you the match. By the way, I still know I owe you guys a big explanation and story of what's going on, and right after this match we're going to do that. But I figured for this first one we'll pay attention to it. I just kind of want to showcase my warrior deck. And this does look like it's going to be a pretty good match. Now I do run into a bit of a problem because we didn't get those minions out, and we actually end up losing a really awesome card. But we are able to kill their very annoying minion that helps them draw, and that's going to hurt them like I said. Then we also have our axe, which will take out their final character. And we'll go ahead and give ourselves some armor plus draw another card. Now I should go back and say if you're wondering why we lost that card, you're only allowed to have 10 cards in your hand at a time. So that's what happened. We were going to exceed 10. Okay, they're going to play a really powerful dragon themselves. And that's probably their final hope to win this game. But remember, we have that mind control. So we're going to steal it. Now that was an epic move, using their own mind control, and they end up conceding right after that. They were completely done. So pretty awesome win, and because of it we're going to move up a rank, though we're still quite low. Now as far as what's been going on, it's a pretty long story, it does get down at points, but spoiler alert, I think it has a pretty happy ending. Now a little while ago I made a video on the Grit Absorb Energy exploit, and it was a pretty controversial time in the game. Many of you were very upset with it, and you agreed that it should definitely be fixed. There were a few that were indifferent. They said, well, we can beat it anyway, so who cares? And my whole thing to them was, I can beat it too. But number 1, it affects other players. Number 2, even though you think you're beating it because of the Ionic Devourer at the time, you were still losing to it on defense, whether you knew it or not. I can guarantee you that everyone lost points that season because of that glitch. Remember, the lethal AISO didn't come out until later, and I really doubt that the enemy AI was using the Ionic Devourer and shutting that down. Now when the lethal AISO came on the scene, you could put it on someone like Beast, Null, Kurth, and you knew they were going to use their AoE debuff. Still, even with that, certain people couldn't get that AI, so remember it cost quite a bit of gold. So there were people that were definitely suffering from it, and it just wasn't fair. It did need to be fixed. And I'm not going to say anything about those who were using it. A lot of people said, well, there was a dev response that justified it. It validated the whole thing. And my response to that was, the support person was pretty oblivious to what was actually going on. But okay, if you were fine with that, then whatever. But the fact is, it ended up getting fixed. So like I was saying, there were people who were greatly for it, many people, the majority I would say. There were those who were indifferent, then there were those who wished it would have stayed, but out of them, a very small amount of people were extremely upset. To the point of demeaning me, basically. And see, while people can dislike me on YouTube, and you can post whatever you want in the comment section below, there's a different dynamic when you have your Facebook profile connected to it. See, most YouTubers, they don't have to deal with direct messages on Facebook, calling them all sorts of names and so on. But I had to deal with a very small amount of individuals, and eventually it just led me to unfriend them. Now there was a certain very vocal person who actually had more than one account, and they were bashing me on both. The odd thing is, after I unfriended them, and I thought I blocked both their accounts, the very next day I was locked out of Facebook. You may recall when I completely disappeared, I was gone from the game, I was gone from Facebook. That's because I couldn't even log in. Facebook had all of a sudden said that I needed to give them ID proving my identification, and that I could only use my official real name on my profile. Okay, so I gave them my response and I told them, well, basically, I use this account to play a game and it's directly connected to my YouTube account. Because of the situation and everything that goes on with making videos, making some people upset and so on, I'd rather remain anonymous. Well, of course, they could care less about that. And they said, well, you can make a fan page. I looked into it, I asked them questions, I never got a direct response. Not once. What it seemed like was I would lose my app data, I would lose my game. And why even do that? That would be the worst possible outcome. So I explained to them, look, if I can't play the game, then I can't do that. I would have no problem using a fan page. But in my situation, it was unique. It's not normal. In my situation, my YouTube channel is tied to this game. And it happens to be a Facebook app. So anyways, they're basically like a rule is a rule. I even contacted Playdom to see if they could transfer my game to another account, and then I could turn that profile into a fan page. PD said there was absolutely no way they could do that. So, I was pretty much stuck. I sent my ID to Facebook, and I was going to work on whatever name would be acceptable. And that was going just fine. After corresponding back and forth, everything was pretty much set. And then, last Thursday, my PC completely locked up and crashed. Now I worked on it all day long, and eventually I couldn't even boot it up. There was nothing that could fix it. The only option ended up being to reset it, meaning I would lose every single file. And while I had many of my templates and different things saved to at least an external hard drive, I was going to lose all my current footage of the game of Marvel Avengers Alliance. I was going to lose my audio program, my video editing program, and all sorts of other things that I needed. Most of it I could re-download, but my video editing program, I actually had to have a CD key, which I lost. I looked everywhere for it, so I wasn't even able to get that again. At least not until I find it. So all that happened this past Thursday, and then it took all night long to reset it. It didn't come back online till early Friday morning. As many of you know, I had a fishing trip planned for the weekend, then a Comic-Con. What this meant was I didn't have any MAA footage and I couldn't get any until on Monday. There was even this big huge process with getting a new video editing program, and that was really annoying, but we don't even have time to get into that one. Well, on Sunday night, that very outspoken individual once again sent me a really messed up message. Something I can't even repeat. Apparently, I didn't block all of their accounts. So I pretty much sent them a message like, "I'll report you to Facebook." I just wanted them to leave me alone, then I blocked them. The very next day, on Monday, my Facebook account was completely locked out. I was gone again. Despite already having given my ID, and like I said, I'd even been working with Facebook. They were once again asking me for an ID and saying the same type of thing as before. Like, "We need to confirm your identity." This time, however, I was completely locked out with no way back in. And by the way, it couldn't have been a coincidence that I got a message from that person harassing me once again before this happened. I mean, that seems pretty odd. So I had to get in contact with Facebook. They kept me off the game the entire day, meaning cumulative login was lost. I couldn't get any VK machines, and my PvP season was potentially in jeopardy. In fact, since Spec Op ended, I couldn't even get on that, and I was actually worried at the time, since they were taking so long to get back to me, that I may end up missing out on Cloak and Dagger. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So a lot of you were asking me to make certain videos or get in the game and do this or that, and I just couldn't. I couldn't have any videos. I had no footage, no access to the game. And it certainly put me behind video-wise. For example, I would have had a Deathlocket video. I was going to have a Shocker All Hail the King episode today. And then the ridiculous PvP teams I really wanted to get done before the season ended. And all that got pushed back. But the good news is I am back in the game. I'm going to start working on all that. So we're going to have an action-packed week. And I do have a few other things that I want to do as well. So there's going to be a few special updates and new things happening with the channel. As far as Marvel Avengers Alliance though, I'm back. I'm able to play. We're going to be making videos. Nothing's going to change. Don't worry. I know 2 days of videos without it probably had some of you wondering what was going on. And also my Facebook profile name is changed. But it's officially over. I shouldn't be bothered anymore about that. The video editing thing though was definitely a huge pain, and since we have a bit of time, I'll tell you about that as well. Just another thing that was going on. Alright, so since I couldn't find my key and I really needed to make videos, I was going crazy, not being able to edit. I looked up another program, a slightly upgraded version, and I was going to get a $20 discount because I'm a student. So I am a current student. Many of you I think know that. Alright, well through the site I had to confirm that I was a student. At first I thought I needed some sort of document or ID. That's what it looked like. So basically I'm scrambling to try to get this program to get another video out because it had already been a few days with my PC crash. I knew I couldn't do anything over the weekend, and just things were going wrong every which way. So I'm waiting, and it's waiting on verification. I finally did find another option, and it went through right then. Or so I thought. After I verified it, it said processing, so I had to wait something like 12 hours for that. Pretty ridiculous. Finally, it goes through, and they send me something called a voucher. So I went to enter the voucher, and I couldn't even believe it. The actual program site now required me to verify that I was a student, when I already did all that. So I'm freaking out at this point. I really needed to make a video. I needed this editing program, and I couldn't wait any longer. So I called up customer support, and I was complaining about this. The lady acted like it was totally normal that you'd have to confirm your ID like 10 million times, and to just go ahead and do that with Sony. Well, my biggest problem was, it seemed like they wanted a school ID. And the current school I'm at, I transferred to. I've mainly been doing online classes, a few on campus, but I really had no reason to get a new student ID, so I didn't even get it yet. I explained this to her and she goes, "Well, give them your other student ID, that'll work fine." And I said, "Okay, are you sure?" She said yes. And then I asked how long would it take. She said minutes. Literally minutes. Now that all went down on Friday, and I sent them my old student ID, I uploaded it and everything. When Monday rolled around, I still didn't have a verification from them. So, much longer than minutes. What I ended up having to do was give them my current school address. And then I did get it instantly. You may be wondering why I didn't just use that from the beginning. Well, that's because my PayPal account isn't my student email. So I thought I had to use the same email for that. That's why I went with the student ID part. But apparently that verification takes an eternity. Though she said it would be minutes. But anyways, I went ahead and put in my voucher again, put in my student email, and I did get the program that day. So that's how I made the comic book haul video. I had to edit with the new program. And I'm still trying to learn it. It's a little bit weird. They have some really odd things that are meant to help, but they just mess you up. So yeah, to wrap up this very long video, I'm learning the new program, and I'll be back making Marvel Avengers Alliance videos tomorrow. So look forward to that. I hope that you continue watching, and I do want to thank everyone who took the time to watch this one. That's it for now, but please like, comment, and subscribe. And then until next time, good luck, and take care.